안녕하세요, 물고기 친구들. Hello everyone, this is Serena again. This video is the most difficult.
No, it's not really difficult, is it?
We are going to talk about the subject particle. Yay! Probably some of you guys have heard of these terms. You probably have learned it and then you get confused, right? And then probably there's some people there who never heard of subject particle. Perfect! That's actually perfect because this grammar point is one of the most confusing one. Yes, you need to understand the concept of this thing. This is actually the beauty of Korean, alright? Of course, you'll get struggle a lot because there is no such a thing in another language beside of Korean and Japanese. So you must watch this one in order to understand this idea. And then I'm gonna make it as simple as possible. Okay? Ready guys? Let's get started. Alright, so today we're gonna learn about subject particles today. There's some other people or even textbooks have been telling you guys certain informations, but I found it very difficult or confusing at least. I don't understand. Think about it. They are saying that one of them is a subject particle, one the other is a topic particle, but nonsense. So I'm gonna make it much clearer this time, alright? So subject particle. What is the subject particle? Think about it. What is the subject particle? So let me explain this way first. So in English, or majority of all other languages as well, we say subject first, and then we do add the verb, and then we add the object, right? Simple. Korean, however, we do add subject first, which is exactly same. However, we say object right after, and then we add the verb in the end. So main important part is we always need to start with the subject, yes. And then the most importantly, we add the verb in the end. So in English, think about English. Because of the verb is in the middle of the sentence, we can actually tell what is my subject. Right before the verb is always the subject. Right after the verb, that's an object, right? How simple is that, right? So verb became a indicator that where my subject is and where is my object. Think about the Korean one. Verb is in the end. What does it mean? Let me give you an example. So, subject, I. Well, it's supposed to be I am Korean. However, we say Korean first and we put the verb in the end. I Korean am. This is how Korean grammar structure is. Okay, so you probably are not used to this one, of course, so that's why you'll get confused a lot in general. Of course, that's fine. You just need to get used to it first, yeah? Because of the verb is in the end, so we don't know which one is subject. First one is a subject and the second one is an object, yes. But in Korean, we usually skip things around, like we skip the subject, for example, because it's obvious. We sometimes skip subject. Sometimes we skip object. We get confused which one is which one, right? So actually subject particles are the indicator where my subject ends, all right? Of course, we need only one, right? So subject particle again, my subject ended here. That's where you need to add your subject particle. Of course, we do have an object particle as well. That's what it is. Object ended here. That's where you need to add object particle. Well, for this video, let's talk about the subject particle only. So I understand that this concept of this grammar can be a little bit confusing, but don't stress out too much. Try to understand how I explain, all right? First of all, the main one is 은, 는. We've got same one but two different versions. It's basically like in English we put a or on in front of the noun, right? If the word starts with a consonant, then yes, we do need to add a. And if the word starts with a vowel, we have to use on instead, right? So it's like that. Imagine a and on, okay, in English. So it's basically similar thing, right? If the word ends with a consonant, we must add n. If the word ends with a vowel, we must add 는. Why? 은, circle. It's empty. So if there is a bottom consonant, it does make the sound a little bit too harsh. So we want to avoid that harsh sound, like or like those kind of harsh sound. We want to make it as smooth as possible. So that's why we use the circle to pronounce it easy. I'm gonna get back to that very soon, all right? So either or 는. Let's go through it. How do we say I? 저, right? 저. And then it ended with a vowel. That's why you need 는. 저는. That's why it became 저는. All right. Next one. What about 당신? It ended with a consonant, so that it requires a circle to pronounce it easy. How does it work? So this is a very important pronunciation rule, all right? If there is a consonant right next to the circle, so meaning this has to be bottom consonant, right? This circle means empty. It has no sound. That's why we just put the circle as a placeholder, right? So this bottom consonant travel next. And when we pronounce it, it's not 당신은. We have to pronounce it a bit more softer. 당신은. Not 당신은, 당신은. Okay? 당신은. This applies to every other stuff, alright? This is the most important basic pronunciation rules, okay? So you must remember this. If there is a bottom consonant, make sure if there is a circle right next to it. Let's talk about the other one. Let's say 그. Oh, it ended with the vowel, so that we need to add 는. Simple. What about next one? Let's talk about 이것. This. 이것. It ended with a consonant, right? Consonant. So we need to add which one? We have to add a circle one. 이것. Right? Because of the bottom consonant. So the pronunciation rule, there's a circle, it travels next. So when you pronounce it, we write it this way. However, we pronounce it 이것은. It was sound before, remember guys? However, when it goes back to the original on top, it becomes s. Back to original sound, S sound again. 이것은. Okay? So imagine like this way. Like in English, we would say that's something, right? Think about this sentence. Do you pronounce it, that is a something? No, we would love to make it short, and then we also want to make it really simple, smooth sound. So it's not that's a something. No, it has to be that's a. It's connected. All right. I mean, obviously, you write it down as it is. However, we pronounce it smoother. All right. So that's basically what's happening in here. So we know how to apply this main subject particles now, right? And let's talk about the other subject particle, which is 이 or 가. Well, I know that some of you guys got confused, like, why did she say subject particle again? Well, these are also subject particle. All of them actually, 은는 and 이가, both of them are subject particles. I'll get to that point later, so let's go through it together, right? So 이가, how do we put together? Consonants. For circle, if the word ends with the vowel, we have to use 가. All right, same thing. 저 is a little bit special one. Technically, we just need to add ka after, but this one is a special one. We need one more line. 제가. It can be a little confusing, but imagine as a exception. All right. So it's not 저가. Please do not pronounce it 저가. It's 제가. All right. So 제가. There we go. Let's try 당신 again. 당신. It ended with a vowel. No, it's a consonant. So it ended with a consonant so that we do need a circle to pronounce it softer. All right. 당신이, right? 당신이. Very good. So, next one. What about 그녀? 그녀. It's a vowel, so that we need to add 가. 그녀가. 그녀가. Right? Next one. Let's talk about 저것. That. 저것. It ended with the bottom consonant again. So which one do we need? Bottom consonant. We need the consonant one. 이. 저것이. Think about it. 저것이. 저것이. It's so tough to pronounce, isn't it? So that we do need to put 저것이. No, we write it down that way, yes. However, we pronounce it much smoother. 저것이. This bottom consonant travels next. So that 저것이. That's how you need to pronounce. All right. It's always, if there's a bottom consonant and then circle, it always applies this way. All right. 저것이. 저것이. So we've got the main one, main subject particles as 는, and the other subject particles, 이가. What is the difference? So we need to understand how we use it, all right? 는 basically, it's for general thing. Imagine A equal B. I am Serena. I am Korean. Today is beautiful. He is a doctor. You know, this is a pen, or he goes to a supermarket, or she eats pasta. A equal B as a general sentence, we use 는. Imagine like this. In math in Korean, we actually say, for example, 3 plus 5 equal 8, right? We do say 3 plus 5은 3 더하기 5는. Actually, it's A equal B. And 이 and 가, 이 or 가, has a meaning of emphasize. So it does emphasize the subject. Does it make sense? So 는 is just general sentence, A equal B. 이 or 가, this one is for emphasizing the subject. What does it mean? Let's get into that a little quick. 저는 세레나요. And this one, 제가, remember guys? 제가, and then it's the exact same, so I'll just copy paste it. 제가 세레나요. If you are translating these two sentences into English, it's actually same. What is it then? So 저는 세레나예요 is I am Serena. I equals Serena. It's for general introduction or general sentence, right? And then let's think about this 제가 thing. As I said, 제가, 이 or 가, you're emphasizing the subject because you're using it as a subject marker, right? I actually prefer to say a marker instead of particle, actually. So I mark it as my subject, and then you're emphasizing the subject as well. 제가 세레나예요. Imagine like this. 제가 I am Serena. Alright, so this idea, imagine like this way. So Korean language has developed mouth to mouth. We didn't have the writing system for a long time. English. Let's make English as an example. We have the capital letters. We have the lower cases. So you can emphasize by capital. So if you write it down, like for example, the book is amazing, or something like that, you know. We did not have the writing systems for a while, so that we had to have certain ways to emphasize the subject or object as well, right? So we added this e or ka to emphasize that. Just emphasize it, right? So it depends on like how you use it though. So in this case, 제가 세레나예요. So think about it. So we are in the same room with a bunch of other people, right? Somebody came into our room and say, who's Serena? And I can say, 제가 세레나예요 in this case. You cannot say, 저는 세레. Nope, that's boop, wrong. Okay, that's totally wrong. You have to say, 제가 세레나예요. 제가 세레나예요. Alright? So 저는, when you introduce yourself, 안녕하세요. 저는 세레나예요. Right? You shouldn't start with 제가 세레나예요. If somebody was talking about you, maybe you can say, oh, by the way, that's me. 제가 세레나예요. In that case, yes, you can. Or if somebody is saying like, oh, who's Korean in this room? Or like, who's Korean? Like, and then you can actually pop up, by the way, 제가 Korean. You know what I mean? I am. You're emphasizing the subject. You're emphasizing the subject. Okay? 이가, it changes the function, of course, like depends on how you use it. But in this case, subject particle, you're emphasizing the subject. Of course, you can use e or ka as an object particle as well. So in that case, you're emphasizing the object. Does it make sense? Good. So let's continue, right? When you're like telling a story or something, if you say something for the first time, when you're mentioning something for the very first time, you have to use 이가. Mentioning something for the first time, because it does work as a emphasizing. Alright? Does it make sense? So opposite way, 은는 will be for the following sentences, right? If you're not sure about what it means, let's think about this way. Like in English again. So in English, when you mention something for the first time, you would put or an, right? Like I bought an apple, right? And if you mention again, like, the apple was so good, you have to add the or the, of course, depends on the, But yeah, it's like that. But it's a little different, obviously. But still, the idea is like that. If you mention something for the first time, you have to use 이 or 가, and following sentence, following question or whatever, then you have to put 은는. Alright guys, so I'm gonna tell you a story in Korean this time, alright? So you don't have to know the meaning of the story. I'm gonna explain it slightly one by one, alright? So don't worry about the meaning of it, just pay attention to the subject particle, please, okay? So, ready guys? Alright. 옛날에 토끼가 살고 있었어요. 옛날에 토끼가 살고 있었어요. So, 옛날에, long time ago, like once upon a time, 토끼. Have I mentioned 토끼 before? Nope, I haven't mentioned at all. First time mentioning, and this is our main character. That's actually the reason why I added 가 there as well, emphasizing. 토끼가 살고 있었어요. So, long time ago, there was a 토끼, rabbit. 토끼 means rabbit, right? So 옛날에 토끼가 살고 있었어요. So that's why we used 이 or 가 this time, alright? Next sentence. 그 토끼는, we can understand all of it so far. 그 토끼는 목이 말랐어요. 그 토끼는 목이 말랐어요. So the rabbit was thirsty. 그 토끼는 목이 말랐어요. 그 토끼는 the rabbit, guys, right? The rabbit, 그 토끼, 그 토끼는 목이 말랐어요. So the rabbit was thirsty. Actually, this is a funny fact. So Korean language is very interesting. We have a lot of like funny expressions in Korean. So for example, like this. 목이 말랐어요. 목이 말랐어요. 목 means throat. 목이 마르다 말랐어요. It's dry. My neck is dry. 목이 말라요. My neck is dry. That means thirsty, right? How funny it is, right? I love Korean expressions like this. It's because as a native speaker, when we grow up, we never thought of this one. We just like, we learn it how it is. And then after all, I start thinking about these things and I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious, you know? Anyways, 옛날에 토끼가 살고 있었어요. 그 토끼는 목이 말랐어요. So basically the rabbit was thirsty. Rabbit equal thirsty. It's just like explaining the situation. There's nothing important to emphasize or anything, right? That's why you need to add 은는, 토끼는. 그래서, so it's a conjunction, connective word. 그래서 토끼는 우물가에 갔어요. 토끼는 우물가에 갔어요. Same thing. Nothing really special thing happened. There is no need to emphasize. And it's just following sentence, right? The rabbit went to a well, right? So, of course, like the rabbit was thirsty, so probably she wanted to drink, right? So the rabbit went to a well. Next sentence. 그런데, however, 옆에 있던 거북이가 토끼한테 말을 걸었어요. 그런데 옆에 있던 거북이가, so I added 거북이가 here, so 거북이 must be something, right? 거북이 is a turtle. Have I ever mentioned 거북이 before? Nope. I've never mentioned it, right? Second, the turtle did something and then it's another character as well. Why don't we emphasize, right? So that's why 거북이가, that's why it's 거북이가 there, all right? And don't forget, by the way, guys, I said this is the marker. My subject ended here. Meaning is, 거북이 is not the only subject. The blah, blah, blah 거북이. That 옆에 있던 거북이가, that whole thing is a subject. Does it make sense? The turtle who was next to, that's what it meant. 옆에 있던 거북이가 토끼한테, to the rabbit, 말을 걸었어요. 말을 걸었어요. It's another funny expression. 말을 걸었어요. So again, this is the funny expression once again. 말 is speaking. 말. 말을 걸다. Original meaning of 걸다 is to hook. Hook. You hook. Hook. So you're hooking the word, right? So what does it mean? It means you're trying to have a conversation. So how funny, right? So that's what it is. So 거북이가 토끼한테 말을 걸었어요. Last sentence, guys. 깜짝 놀란 토끼가 대답했어요. So blah 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 토끼가 again. Can we emphasize again? Yes, in Korean, we can emphasize multiple times. That's totally fine. It's not a big of deal. You have to emphasize it if it's necessary. That's what I was saying. So it's similar to and the in English. Once you said and then the, then it will never gonna become again, right? But in Korean, you can emphasize multiple times because it's not the same idea at all, all right? You can emphasize multiple times, all right? So let's come back to the other sentence, like the previous sentence, okay? So I said, 토끼는 우물가에 갔어요, right? The rabbit went to a well. I, as a speaker, I get to choose if I want to emphasize it again or not. I thought, as a speaker, the 토끼는 우물가에 갔어요. I could actually emphasize it. Like the rabbit went to the well. But to be honest, I thought it's just like general sentence. I didn't even mention anybody else as well. So it's obvious. I mean, it's just following sentence as well. There's nothing big thing happen as well. So that I've just decided to just leave it as a general one. 토끼는 우물가에 갔어요 as a following sentence. Doesn't make sense. So come back again. 깜짝 놀란 토끼가 대답했어요. The rabbit who got so surprised. 깜짝 놀란 토끼가 The rabbit who got so surprised answered it back. Okay, that's what it means. So that's how we use 는 and 이가. Alright, does it make sense, guys? Alright, there's one extra bit that you have to know. Alright, this is one of the most important as well. So, ready, guys? So, 는 has one extra function, which is comparison. Super important. How does it work? So for example, when you're comparing two different things, you must add 는 for both of them. Alright? So for example, yesterday는 rainy, but today는 sunny. Yesterday was rainy, but today is sunny. Does it make sense? Let me write it down for you guys. You're comparing yesterday, and then it is rainy. I'll just skip the verb, alright? So, like this, we need to add yesterday는 rainy, but today는 sunny, because you're comparing these two different things, yesterday and today, alright? Yesterday and today, you're comparing two different things. You have to use 는 for both of them. This is the highlight of this one, alright? It covers everything. If it's the very first time mentioning something for the first time, or if you want to emphasize, it doesn't matter. You don't need to add 이가. 는 is the one. 는, this as a comparison, it covers everything. It does emphasize by comparing. Okay, so this is more important than anything else. If you're ever comparing with some things together, yes, you must use 는. Alright, so yesterday는 rainy, but today는 sunny, right? But in Korean, we'd love to make it short sentence all the time. Meaning is we can, out of nowhere, can just skip this one completely. Imagine like this. Somebody just out of nowhere saying, oh, today는 sunny. Meaning is today는 sunny compared to yesterday, right? Today는 sunny. Yesterday was shit. If somebody is saying, oh, I feel so good this week. This week은 so good. Then last week wasn't very good at all. That's the meaning, all right? We can skip things around, of course. But if you ever see that 는 for the first time mentioning, you have to think maybe that's a comparison. Okay? Hope these make sense, guys. I know 는 and 이가, you're not familiar with these terms at all, of course. So of course you get confused. And then of course there are multiple ways that you have to consider this one. Yeah, it must be very confusing. Don't worry, alright? You will get through it one by one. Just understand the concept of it, alright? Just be aware of it, alright? And we're gonna continue learning it. So please forget about this subject topic. It's too much, right? It's confusing you guys so much. So just please understand how I explained it here, alright? Thank you guys for watching my video, by the way. It was really long explanation. Of course, I can make it short. However, this is the main one that people always talked about. Everyone has a different opinion about this grammar. The way I explained just now, I think this will explain lots of different things, to be honest. So thank you guys for watching my video, alright? And if you want to know more about Korean, if you want to learn Korean with me, don't forget to subscribe my channel and like this button. And also don't forget to turn on the notification so that you receive my video on time. Alright? Lovely guys. Have a wonderful day. See you next time. 안녕히 계세요, 물고기 친구들. 다음 시간에 봐요. 뿅!